what's the next encounter that we have coming for you. It's a single header, no double on the Wednesday. We've had a tough day on a Tuesday, and for the Wednesday it's going to be, well, another critical game. Both teams very much in the thick of it, in the mix. Rajasthan versus Bangalore. But with the way Punjab have gone, with the way Hyderabad have gone, could Rajasthan be the team who will slip down if Bangalore was started to find their mojo? Joy, first and foremost to Bangalore. They'll be relieved with that the performance where they're coming. They'll be relieved that the 11 is finally coming through. And more importantly, Virat Kohli started scoring the kind of runs we know he can.
Absolutely. Virat Kohli in form, Maxwell has been in form, Devdutt Padikkal was early in the season in form. So they've got 3-4 batsmen in form. And Bharat has also given them a little bit in the last match. That's important for them because, batting at number 3, you always wonder the amount of deliveries that can be wasted at that point in time. I think they are now looking like a team that's just again recovered a bit of their balance. In the first couple of matches, they were looking very disjointed. This is a good team. This is a strong team, and this is a team who, are looking that they want to make something of the season.
Have they found their perfect 4 overseas players, Lisa? Maxwell, De Villiers walk in there. They've got choices. Who are your next 2? We had Hasaranga, we had Tim David, we've had Dan Christian. Who are your best 2?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think Dan Christian probably hasn't had that much of an opportunity. But George Garton is another one that's probably a little bit left field. I saw him actually in the T10 out there in the UAE, and he looked good. He's tall, left arm quick, something a little bit different potentially for them. I guess it will depend on the matchups, but you're right, they're still searching for that 4th international. But the other things to keep in mind, AB de Villiers hasn't fired. So I'll just leave that one there. We're just waiting for him to flick the switch. Oh,
right.
sorry.
I thought you were just suggesting quietly that maybe you could get someone in his place, but that's not what
No.
you do. No, I didn't think you were, but yeah, I agree. It's just like a Hardik Pandya. When the switch flicks, it could go absolutely anywhere. But luckily, Joy, they haven't actually needed. It's not that he's let them down at times. They would have liked a little bit more from him. But I really think beyond AB and Maxwell, one more name was Tim David. He got one opportunity. Maybe he should get another one because he can be very destructive, and he's been in some form for the St. Lucia Kings in the CPL.
Look, lots of players, George Garton, Tim David, but I still say that if you just look at the record of people who have won T20 matches for their team, most experienced international, it's very difficult to look beyond Dan Christian, and you really haven't given him the enough. He's just enormously experienced in conditions around the world. I mean, he can play in almost any conditions around the world. Terrific player. And I think at some point, again, like Mumbai did, you got to make a stand with your players and say, you know what, he hasn't got enough of a chance. Let's stick with these guys. Let's give them the confidence for the next 3 matches, and let's see where it goes. And this is something that we've always talked about Bangalore, that they haven't stuck enough with their players. They've shifted around players too much. Perhaps they just give Dan Christian a bit more of a run and see where it goes from there. For me, actually, if the place is, if you're playing in somewhere like Sharjah and the ball's turning a bit, you play Hasaranga more often. You play Jamieson and the other way around and play Navdeep Saini if you're playing Hasaranga. Those were the switches I'd do, but the top 6 I just leave alone and say, these are what it is. And I also genuinely believe that it's easier for bowlers to slot into an 11 when they're not
Correct.
there, rather than batsmen. Batsmen find it far more difficult to suddenly slot in, and suddenly change positions and stuff like that. So I believe they should just stay consistent with that top 6.
But just a quick one on batsmen slotting in within the 11 itself, Lisa, since you did mention Abraham Benjamin de Villiers. If they are batting first, is there a case for maybe just nudging him slightly up the order? Give him a few more balls to settle in.
No, well, see, this is the thing when this season, it kind of divided the cricket pundits and the fans about how low he was batting. Everyone goes, oh, your best batter, they need to spend more time, face more balls. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to give Glenn Maxwell that role because they feel that he couldn't go from ball 1. AB de Villiers can. He's a freak. We all know he's on a different planet. So you've got to stick with that plan because it actually worked well, unless conditions are completely different and you need someone who's so versatile like AB de Villiers to come up, then go for it. But like Joy is saying, just back these guys just for a little bit. And especially if they're winning, you can afford to just keep them in the side. There's normally one, maybe two people you carry hoping that they can turn it around. And I reckon Bangalore are exactly in that position.
Well, it's going to be an interesting matchup against the men in royal pink from Rajasthan. Sanju Samson has shown us just what he's capable of, be it as a batsman, learning every day as a leader. So from Rajasthan's point of view, they'll know they're up against a powerhouse. So there'll be a little bit of strategy thrown in. Matchups will come to it. Any selection issues for you? Any key selection issues for you, Joy, for Rajasthan?
I think they need Kartik Tyagi back. If he's not seriously injured, Kartik Tyagi for Jaydev Unadkat, I think, is a no-brainer. And at this point in time, to be honest with you, anyone for Riyan Parag is a no-brainer. I'd like to see Shivam Dube get the opportunity at that slot, but really, I don't think Riyan Parag has done enough to justify his presence. Perhaps for that young man, it would possibly be better to sit out for a bit, see things from the outside, and get his perspective back. Again, we were talking about it that Ishan Kishan. It's not that we're not saying Ishan Kishan is not talented, but perhaps he needs the match to sit outside, get that that huge weight off his back, and then come back and play a little more freely. So I think Riyan Parag needs to be rested. I like Liam Livingstone and Evan Lewis both playing together. Livingstone, I know, both of them didn't make runs in the first match, but they are a powerful set of players. They are the kind of players, international players, informed players. They can make a difference.
The other option as well is David Miller not being selected, because I feel like he's been given a lot of opportunities. And if Kartik Tyagi isn't available, then maybe you bring in an O'Shane Thomas to potentially fill that role as well, instead of an Indian fast bowler. So they can manipulate it slightly, because I think Chris Morris was batting at 8, I think, in the last game. So they can slide everyone up, and they've still got potentially a bit of batting depth. So I think they can tinker just a little bit more.
But Lisa, if you have to bring in O'Shane Thomas and we can put that squad back up, who does he come in for? Chris Morris?
David Miller.
No, she's saying David Miller, but at this point in time,
we've already got Evan Lewis. We've got Lewis, Livingston, Mustafizur, and Morris. That was the 4 overseas players for the last game. So you can't leave the fizz out.
Livingston and they played both Livingston and
right. That's Lewis where I got it wrong. Sorry. Yeah. So I want 5 actually. I've changed the rules. I want 5.
But and all this as another impact player. I know I keep saying it because I've watched him play close up. I think he's just a wonderful guy and he brings a lot to the table as Glenn Phillips. But unfortunately, just being up there, probably that role, that slot in this team is where he doesn't fit in.
No, absolutely. And I think the most interesting thing is I have seen people like Brendan McCullum sit on the bench for Kolkata Knight Riders because the combination doesn't work. And it's strange because guys like that, never in his career has Brendan McCullum ever sat out a match because he was not good enough to get in the first 11. But the balance doesn't work. So it's for a lot of these guys, it's mentally a very difficult thing to sort of wrap their head around. I mean, Glenn Phillips is a crack player. Liam Livingstone is now in the 100. He's a star. Even Lewis is a star. Each and every one of these guys is a star, and yet some of them have to sit out. And that is what the IPL is all about, these strange matchups that you get.